Let's go. We're only 10 minutes late again. Some would call it usual. That's alright. That's alright. Well, I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. Hope Rumble's up. If it's not, oh well. Can I fix this somehow? Yeah, I hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. We have invited a king to the U.S. I saw the redcoats on the front lawn of the White House today. I'm gratefully surprised that they did not attempt to burn it down again, as they have done once before. Quite a bold stunt inviting them back over. But yeah, thought that was interesting. The last time the redcoats were on the White House lawn, it ended up burning down. Guess you can't say they could burn down the ballroom too, because it's not there. Then they went over. The king goes to Congress and gives a speech and gets applauded by the No Kings people. I thought that was just pure irony. The No Kings protesters applauding the king. I guess they're not protesters, not all of them. Some of them have showed up to these events, but not all of them. Just thought it was funny that the people championing No Kings were themselves applauding a king today. I mean, pure irony. Also, definitely a national security threat to have redcoats on the White House lawn. I hate to break it to everyone. Not the wisest idea. I will get into it. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. This is episode number 98 of Addressing the Issues. Happy Fraud and Indictment Day to those that celebrate. It looks like Pam Bondi might have been the problem. And it looks like you're going to jail and we're taking your Learing Center away. We're taking it. We're keeping your Learing Center. That's the main thing that's going down today. Lots of indictments. And finally, we're getting to see arrests, or at least raids, for this fraudulent child care service that's been going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota broadly, Minneapolis in specific. But at least 22 FBI raids of suspected fraudulent child care centers have taken place today in Minnesota, including everyone's favorite, the Quality Learing Center. I think it's so funny, the Learing Center. Look up in your free time what leering is, particularly the Urban Dictionary definition, and you will find it even more so funny, especially given the Muslim nature of Somalis, of Muslim nature of these people. I don't think they would appreciate what leering is. Maybe they don't even appreciate learning either, but they certainly would not appreciate leering. But this is a result of independent journalists such as Nick Shirley, who investigated the fraud surrounding these facilities. And finally, today, the FBI went in and started taking documents. So it looks like we may see justice in the future for this great big fraud scam on American taxpayers. Because we shouldn't be paying for it. We shouldn't be paying for these people to have, they call them child care centers. It's a place where adults go and hang out who are apparently just unemployed. They go there, they hang out in a child care facility on taxpayer dollars, smoking cigarettes, just having a good old time, as opposed to being productive members of society. So I guess you can thank yourselves for paying taxes to allow these people to hang out and smoke cigarettes in their child care facilities that have no children in them. But Tim Walz, of course, releases a statement on X today because he has done so much to prevent this fraud from happening in his state. He says, if you commit fraud in Minnesota, you're going to get caught. That's exactly what we saw today. We catch criminals when state and federal agencies share information. Joint investigations work, and securing justice depends on it. Today's raids by state and federal law enforcement happened because our state agencies caught irregular behavior and reported it. That's how the system is supposed to work, and our agencies will keep doing it as long as there are fraudsters around to put behind bars. I don't know where to begin with this statement, other than you're the one allowing this to take place. You're the one that defended these people who are committing this fraud time and time again, and you allowed it to continue until the FBI comes in and starts raiding these places. And then everybody's favorite, FBI Director Kash Patel, I don't know, you should probably be able to tell that's sarcasm by now, but he makes a reasonable statement in response, I guess also on X, I should include. He says, this FBI and DOJ with our DHS partners drafted and executed every search warrant today. But go ahead and take credit for our work while we smoke out the fraud plaguing Minnesota under your governorship. Well, it's like a broke clock is right twice a day. Kash Patel's right here. If Tim Walz had any care of that this was going on, it never would have got to the point where the FBI, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security have to go in and execute these search warrants. You could have handled this in your own state without all these federal agencies coming in, but you chose not to. You chose to allow the crime, the fraud to perpetuate in your state. And now the federal government has to get involved. It's interesting that he takes credit for things like this when he himself is the one who's covered it up time and time again. He also used this as some sort of point as to why the two people in Minneapolis who committed suicide by cop during their riots, their, in all reality, insurrection, should be investigated between both the state and the federal government. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it is a shame that that happened to them. But they also both committed suicide by cop, and that's just what it is. They had every opportunity, both of them, to be doing something different that day, yet they choose to put themselves in that situation. It's unfortunate that they chose to do so, that they were so radicalized to do so. But I believe this is also, unfortunately, the governor's fault, who perpetuated these actions, who okayed these actions, who reinforced these people in going out, protesting in the streets, and committing crimes of violence or attempting to commit crimes of violence against police officers. It's unfortunate, but the blame also still comes back to Tim Walz, even in this instance. So, I don't know. He's trying to score political points on his already dead political career. Because of this fraud, not just his tampons for second grade boys, but for this fraud that he's allowed to envelop his state and drain taxpayers of resources that could actually be going to child care. And I think nothing has proven this more than just the lack of intelligence of the people who are defending this, especially when you have a building called the Quality Learing Center as opposed to the Quality Learning Center. Couldn't even learn how to spell. But it seems that they leer much more than they're learning in Minnesota. Especially Ilhan Omar, I believe it was last night, reading World War II as World War XI. I don't know where she dug up these other 9 world wars. Or maybe she just can't read Roman numerals, which is an entirely different problem. But maybe I missed, like the vast majority of us, the other 9 world wars that she's referencing. I'm glad I didn't have to witness those. They sound absolutely horrifying, especially that we're apparently going on the World War XII here soon, possibly. Alarming proposition. I mean, it's just like bananas and rice, you know? There's nothing you can really do about it. It's just like bananas and rice. That's what being a Minnesotan is. It's just like bananas and rice. If you get that one, I hope you enjoyed. Because that was a very funny moment. Especially when Bananas and Rice Girl got arrested. But yeah, it was funny. It was funny. But there's even more fraud going on right now that we are apparently finally addressing. Pam Bondi's been out less than a month, and somehow all of these indictments, all of this fraud, all of these warrants, search warrants, you name it, are coming out now. It's like maybe the black hole of a desk was a problem. But Secretary Brooke Rollins claims that in just one state, she says this on X, 14,000... Upstairs neighbors are going crazy. She says that in just one state, 14,000 individuals receiving SNAP benefits were driving luxury vehicles. These include 3 Bentleys, 3 Ferraris, 11 Lamborghinis, 59 Maseratis, 141 Porsches, 244 Alfa Romeos, 306 Land Rovers, and 2,098 Teslas. I guess we can dismiss the Maseratis and Alfa Romeos. These are the food stamps of luxury vehicles, but I'm going to take a shot in the dark here, as it's claimed that this was a red state, because apparently the blue states are suing to prevent the federal government from accessing this data. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say it's Florida. I'm going to make a guess and say it's Florida, but I think if it is, we will take the actions to address this in an appropriate manner. There's no way you are receiving food stamps, SNAP benefits, and own a Bentley. That's just absolutely unreal. I mean, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all 3 of those. To consider that anybody who owns those is receiving SNAP benefits is just absurd abuse of the program. I mean, that car is worth an entire home. I get the housing economy kind of sucks, but if you get rid of your $200,000 car, probably even more so in the case of Bentleys, you can probably probably afford, some type of housing and probably afford food as well. I mean, that car is worth an entire house and you are on SNAP benefits. That's fraud. That is crazy fraud. And that's in a red state. It doesn't specify which one it is. I took a shot in the dark because I see what people drive around here. And I could imagine, you're in a position of power and you manipulate the game a little bit. And you get your SNAP benefits with your Ferrari. You're driving around your Aventador, and when you get to Whole Foods, you swipe your EBT card to get your vegetables. I can imagine that. It's also just incredible that there's so little oversight, that the person assigning SNAP benefits doesn't look around and see, oh, there's a Bentley Continental parked outside that this person just walked out of, and now they want SNAP benefits. It's no, go sell your car and feed yourself for a few years. I don't know. I don't know what state it is. It's claimed that it's a red state. It's claimed that the blue states won't allow this to come out. They're suing to protect this data. I can only imagine it's worse there, but whatever state this is has a lot of questions to answer, and I have my suspicions it's Florida, and I hope it isn't, but if it is, I have full trust in our Attorney General that whoever is doing that fraud will face the consequences, because this is just abuse of the food stamp program. This is for people who have fallen on hard times and are trying to bounce back into society. They need assistance with paying for their food. This isn't for someone who's rich and just doesn't want to pay for it. I don't know, maybe that's a far-fetched idea, but it's a safety net is what SNAP is intended to be. It's not something you go on for life. It's not something you receive while you have a six-figure car. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I have an early show on something about SNAP. I forget what it was. It's kind of a banger, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's a safety net. It's not a livelihood. Your livelihood cannot be food stamps in your Bentley Continental, your Ferrari California, your Lamborghini Aventador with your food stamps. I guess the car payments on those are probably really expensive today, though, so maybe that's what's put them on hard times, is their Aventador payments. Unfortunate. I feel so sorry for those people. I feel so sorry for you and your Ferrari. I might cry on the stream. But no, more and more fraud everywhere, all over the place today. Now we get into potential voter fraud. We've gone through child care fraud, SNAP fraud. Now we're on voter fraud. The state of North Carolina, where I'm from, has found over 34,000 dead people on voter rolls across the state. I can't say I'm surprised. This is only probably the third time. I know at least the second time this has happened in my lifetime in North Carolina. I don't know why when people die they aren't removed from voter rolls. It seems to me that once you pass away, you'll no longer be able to get to the polling station, polling location, and you probably won't be able to open and send mail. But maybe there's some way that these people are able to do so. I would need you to explain that to me. But they find, once again, 34,000 dead people on voter rolls across the state. Election officials claim that this does not necessarily indicate that illegal votes were cast. It just means that they could have been, which should be alarming to anyone. I feel like this isn't really a Republican conservative practice. And I think that this has made a lot of recent elections a lot closer than they probably would have been if these people were excluded from voter rolls. These deceased people were excluded from voter rolls. Like, there's just got to be a way that this can automatically be done. I don't feel like I'm crazy in suggesting that. I think, like, you know, there's probably some state database of deceased individuals. Why don't you just cross-reference the two? Or just, like, make sure everybody votes in person at the polling location. I think that would be the easiest, unless, I mean, people aren't going to bring Meemaw's corpse into the voting location, probably, and then, like, hold her eyes open and sign for her, and that'd be kind of morbid, in my opinion. But I think this could fix that, is if you just only allowed in-person voting, particularly with paper ballots, which are my favorite. I think this issue could be fixed, and I don't think that's a far-fetched idea whatsoever. I think that would be increasing the integrity in our elections, is if you did have to go in person and you did have to use a paper ballot, and there's no machines behind the counting that can be manipulated. It's just one paper ballot equals one vote. And you have to go in person, so we don't have 34,000 deceased individuals who could vote but probably didn't, according to election officials. I mean, fraud all over this country. I mean, I don't know how, I do know how to fix this. You have to show up in person to vote. You put actual restrictions on SNAP benefits. You actually look into these child care centers to see if there's any children inside during, the working week when you would need child care, particularly more than on the weekends when people are off of work. Just like simple fixes, and maybe some of the fraud from taxes, tax dollars to voting could be solved if we just implemented some simple solutions. But I'll probably be called a radical for suggesting that, which, if saving taxpayers dollars and having free and fair elections is radical, I guess I'm guilty. I guess I'm guilty of being a radical in that sense. I don't think it's that way. I think it's just common sense that we have at least some accountability for our taxpayer dollars, have some accountability in our elections, just a little bit, just like reasonable stops to ensure that this stuff doesn't continue. But, that gets you called names and ostracized from polite society. So, I don't know. Maybe we just let 130-year-old Meemaw go in and vote. She hasn't been around in 30-something years, but, if somebody can make her hand press the button to vote, I guess it counts the same as everybody else's. I don't know. We'll move on. That's almost all the fraud for today. We'll get into a little bit more later. But we have some indictments. Like I said, it's Fraud and Indictment Day here in America. I hope you enjoy celebrating. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted once again. This time is for his 8647 seashells stunt, which he posted on Instagram. I think anybody with a brain saw this as an allusion to attempt to go out and kill the president, much like what Cole Thomas Allen attempted to do on Saturday. I guess when you okay these behaviors, you put out dog whistles, much like James Comey, you can expect this to be the result, that you have these deranged individuals that think violent crime is okay if it furthers their own political goals, which it isn't. I don't okay any violent crime whatsoever. It's all evil. That's what it is. It's evil. Yet we have people who believe that this is okay to further their political goals, such as James Comey, such as 25%, I believe I said yesterday, of people who identify as very liberal. But James Comey currently has an arrest warrant issued for his name, signed by the Eastern District of North Carolina this time, meaning we are likely to see a Comey mugshot very, very soon, which would only be justice for when we saw the Donald Trump mugshot due to James Comey's weaponization of the federal government under Biden. So it seems like justice will be served. We will be going mugshot for mugshot here in America, which is not the best look, but when you commit crimes, like actually commit crimes, you need to be punished for committing said crimes, and inciting violence against the President of the United States, I can only imagine is a crime, especially after people are attempting to do so. Like I said, I listed 4 yesterday. It's reportedly 5 people that have tried to murder President Trump. So when you have these people putting these violent dog whistles out into the public realm, you need to, at the very little, try and understand what they're saying. Like, is this what you mean? And prove that they are not inciting violence. I guess you're innocent until proven guilty, but I think anyone with a well-functioning brain can understand what 8647 actually meant and what James Comey was actually calling for by posting that online, given his relationship with President Trump. So he will be facing charges in Eastern North Carolina, Eastern District of North Carolina, as opposed to the Eastern District of Virginia this time. He's expected to be arrested, booked, and I guess from there we'll see if he has bail, see if he tries to flee the country. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but hopefully he'll go to the court of law and we will see him testify as to what 8647 means, because I want to know what mess he comes up with. I truly do. Like, how do you explain that one away? It's like, I like math. Is that what he's going to say? Like, what is he going to actually say? It's an infinity sign, but I put it the wrong way. Like, what are you going to say to this? I can't wait, because anybody with a functioning brain knows exactly what he meant. And anybody that does or claims that they don't think that he was trying to incite violence against the president has like some type of cognitive dissonance that's like probably incurable. Like probably insane asylum worthy levels of like mental illness. I mean, reopen the asylums. Worst mistake of the 1900s was closing them. Open them back up and fill them up. Just start filling them up. I think here's a good point, a good start. Anybody that believes that James Comey wasn't trying to incite violence is going to the asylum. You're going in, and we're never letting you out. That or prison. Either works. Just fill up the prison with liberals and Somalis. Makes sense, honestly. In some dark, twisted way, it just makes sense. But we'll move on. There's even more indictments today. Former senior advisor to Anthony Fauci was indicted for his role in the COVID-19 cover-up today. This indictment claims that he falsified records in an effort to censor the lab leak theory, the theory that is all but proven true. I think, once again, anybody with a brain and any understanding whatsoever of science understands that this was a man-made virus, that it leaked from a lab, And I will do you one better, and I think that you are xenophobic if you think that Chinese people were eating raw bat soup and raw pangolins in order to bring this virus to a public health crisis. I think you might have a hint of racism if you actually believe that, because there's no evidence that they don't know how to cook their food. There's no evidence that they eat raw bat soup, that they eat raw pangolin. There's no evidence of that. There's actually evidence that they cook their food. So that's my opinion on that. The lab leak theory, it's not a theory. It's where it came from, especially given that this is one of the locations in the world where they are studying, coronavirus. Not just coronavirus, but how to manipulate it to make it more, not just deadly, but viral. What is that? Gain of function. One place that they are performing gain of function research on coronavirus is somehow the lab leak theory of where this all came from. I'm not biting. I'm not biting that. I don't think it's some coincidence that coronavirus came out of the same town a couple miles down the street from the lab which is studying gain of function of coronavirus. And I'm not crazy. I refuse to believe that. But this indictment of this senior advisor, I wonder what his name was. I saw it earlier. I meant to write it down. Let's see. Well, doesn't look like we're going to have that information. Let me try one more place. Okay, where is it? David Marins is the one who is indicted. His indictment also claims that he has used his personal email instead of his NIH, National Institute of Health email, in an attempt to hide records from Freedom of Information Act requests. Meaning when you ask for his emails while he was working under Fauci, you get a sanitized version of what was really going on because he was using his personal email to avoid this ever coming out, which kind of proves how evil this group is. They would do anything but face accountability for the largest pandemic in any of our lives, for shutting down the world for about a year. Anything whatsoever but accountability. And it finally needs to be delivered, not just to this David Marins, but also to Anthony Fauci. And given the nature of what they covered up and the effect, which was death of people, they should probably be tried for murder. If not, send them to the ICC and see if they can charge them for genocide. I don't know. That's my opinion on that. But this was the mass quelling of hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Old people, young people, healthy people, previously sick people, all of them. I mean, there was nobody on earth that wasn't a victim to these people's disgusting manipulation of nature. And they need to be held responsible for what they did. That's just the hard truth of this COVID-19 situation, is we need accountability, and somebody needs to be, or a group of people need to be charged for their crimes against humanity, which is either a lot of counts of murder or genocide, which, I mean, take your pick. They're pretty much one of the same. But we'll move on. Charge Anthony Fauci, prosecute him. He's next. The auto pen pardon means nothing in all reality. Like, do something. You can't let people like that walk free. You just can't. But we'll move on to, I guess, what looks like tax evasion. It looks like that to my untrained eye. It says, in a new O'Keefe Media Group hot date, Fox Weather executive James Hermes claimed that Fox allows him to write off trips to strip clubs as business expenses. Quite a business expense. Unless you're playing basketball pre-NIL era for the Louisville Cardinals, this isn't a business expense, I guess, unless your name is Rick Pitino, in which, you got to do what you got to do. But he, in this hot date with someone who's likely way above his attractiveness level, he brags to this girl about some of his business trips to strip clubs costing $4,000 or more dollars. A lot of money to throw at the strip clubs. Never been myself, but I can only imagine that's costlier than the average person's trip. I don't know an average. Maybe people go there and spend a month's worth of paychecks on one girl in ones, but I can't imagine that's a normal occurrence. He also claims on his hot date with this O'Keefe Media Group journalist that Fox would lie on expense reports that these trips to the strip club were business expenses, allowing for his pleasure trips to be wrote off on taxes. He also furthered this point by saying that no one's gonna effing say a word to me. Well, you got caught, and you have compromised your entire company's business by writing off trips to the strip club as business expenses for the Weather Channel. Not the Weather Channel, but the weather section of your business. That's where he actually previously worked, I do believe, was the Weather Channel. I don't think the Weather Channel would ever allow that. I have them in too high regard. But no, you're writing off trips to the strip club as tax deductible, as business expenses. I don't know. Maybe, he was studying on how to make it rain. Possibly. I don't know if that one's going to play in the court of law. It says, I was just a meteorologist. I was at the strip club learning how to make it rain. Maybe it plays, maybe it doesn't. But this looks like tax evasion to me, writing off the strip club as business expenses so that you can call it a tax deductible expense, which, maybe making it rain works at Fox Weather. Maybe that's something that they're really researching and invested in, looking at the models, trying to make it rain. It could play. So I don't know. Maybe shout out James Hermes. He's getting inventive with weather. He's going to make it rain on all the models at the strip club and not pay taxes on it. Respect, honestly. Respect. That's a baller right there. And no, I haven't seen anything like this since the Louisville Cardinals basketball scandal, but now we're here. Fox News is studying models and how to make it rain in strip clubs as business expenses. Hats off to them. You're doing great work here in the field of meteorology. But we'll move on. So what all fraud have we covered today? Tax evasion fraud, child care fraud, SNAP benefits fraud, voter fraud, 2 indictments. I mean, what a day. Fraud indictment day. Hope everybody's enjoyed. We've got one unrelated story, too, Fraud and Indictment Day, there are reports circulating that U.S. intelligence is looking into how Iran would react if the U.S. declared unilateral victory in this war with Iran. I believe this is today, or as today's deadline, the 60-day War Powers Resolution, 1973 War Powers Resolution's deadline on the 60 days of presidential authority runs out. Apparently, we are now looking at how Iran would react if the U.S. just said, hey, we won, you lost. I don't think that they're going to agree. I think that this has gone exactly how they expected it would, if not better, with punishing everyone through the global economy. At one point, sanctions lifted on their gasoline or oil. And crippling their neighbors' infrastructure and their oil trade. I don't know how this could have actually went any better for Iran. They're not going to defeat the U.S. They're just going to make it more costly than American citizens are willing to go. And they did just that. They don't care if they die. They'll be considered martyrs. And they've made the U.S., look a little bad on the world stage. This is a objective victory for them, given what they hoped for. They never had to give up their nuclear program. They might do that in the future, but as of right now, they still have it, meaning they didn't even concede on that front. So I don't know what they're looking at. I think I just answered the whole thing. They're going to consider this a historic victory for the Persian Empire by fending off the U.S. invaders. That's how they will consider this if we declare unilateral victory, which, we've already won this war, at least 50 times? I've heard that we won, that we defeated them, I countless times already. So, maybe that was just setting the stage for this announcement of unilateral victory. I don't know. I don't feel like I've won. We might be on the verge of a global food shortage. Gasoline still costs $4 a gallon here. I don't feel like I'm winning, but I may be winning. I don't know. But there's other news related to the Middle East. The UAE, United Arab Emirates, will exit OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, on May 1st. But they claim that they will remain committed to oil price stability. The major point of this is that the organization decides on oil production quotas for each member, meaning that the UAE will no longer be limited to these quotas. There's claims that the UAE could produce an extra 1 million barrels a day after leaving OPEC, helping with the supply shortages, particularly because UAE has a pipeline across the country that bypasses the Strait of Hormuz. This is called the Fujairah pipeline, which cuts through the country and out into, a port on the Indian Ocean, as opposed to them having to enter the Arabian Sea and cross the Strait of Hormuz, completely bypassing both, which, could help with this oil shortage that we are experiencing, by offering increased output and therefore more supply and lower prices, which is direly needed at this point with our $4 a gallon oil, or gas, I guess I should say. So that's big news that will start, or at least is claimed to take in effect May 1st, Friday. So hopefully that can bring prices down. The OPEC is considered like the oil cartel, which manipulates demand, therefore price, allowing oil to be sold at these pretty much standard rates. This is going to have one more supply that's not a pariah state that's going to be able to put oil on the market that is not, I guess, leveraged by the OPEC entity anymore, which will be hopefully great for pricing of oil. One can hope, at least, because, like I said, $4 a gallon, I don't feel like I'm winning, but I could be. I might feel like I'm winning with like maybe $3 a gallon. Maybe if we get back there, I'll feel like I'm winning again. But until then, I don't know. But yeah, I think the UAE leaving OPEC will be good in the short term. I worry a little bit considering the down second, third order effects, I guess I should say, of this move to leave OPEC, considering that the U.S. is on the petrodollar still. We do not have gold to back our currency, meaning they could artificially inflate the U.S. dollar by just pumping more oil, which could be a very, very bad situation for the U.S., and that doesn't even consider that they might be able to trade this oil in yuan, which could be much, much worse than just extra supply inflating the U.S. dollar. That would mean the entire collapse of the U.S. dollar. So, good and bad news. Short term, probably good news. Long term, we may need OPEC to rein them back in, or we may have large problems here in the U.S. Let's see. We've got charges for James Bryan Comey. We'll go through this real quick. Count 2, knowingly and willfully, or count 1, knowing and willfully making a threat to take the life of and inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States, posted on Instagram. Count 2, knowingly and willfully did transmit in interstate and foreign commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill the president, and a forfeiture notice. Notice is hereby given that all right, title, and interest in the property described herein is subject to forfeiture. Let's see. Upon conviction of any offense charged herein constituting specified unlawful activity, so I guess anything he got with unlawful activity, or a conspiracy to commit such offense, the defendant shall forfeit to the United States any property, real or personal, which constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to said offense. He's not getting his Instagram dollars this month. It seems that he will be forfeiting those, unfortunately, for him. But yeah, 2 counts of one of threat to the life of the president, and the second transmitting this threat communication in an interstate and foreign commerce manner. So, will we see him behind bars? Hopefully sooner rather than later. That's all we've got for today. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. Make sure you're dropping a like on whatever platform, YouTube, Rumble, you are. Subscribing on YouTube, following on Rumble, following on Kick. Sharing the channel, sharing this episode. Pretty interesting one today. Happy Fraud and Indictment Day. It seems that this day could not have come soon enough. I thought we were promised this on day 1 of Trump's second term, but, it's only taken a year and a half. I hope it's not too little too late for midterms, but in all reality, it could be. I think people have pretty much made up their mind what they're doing these midterms, unfortunately. So it seems that this could be a too little too late situation. But yeah, I guess appreciate y'all for sticking around till the end today. Hopefully it was a good episode. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It was a little bit of a fraud and indictment day special because that's what was in the news today. But let's get right into the good news. I've got to get out of here pretty soon, so let's go right into John 8:31. It reads, "To the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, 'If you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.' They answered him, 'We are Abraham's descendants and have never been slaves of anyone. How can you say that we shall be set free?' Jesus replied, 'I tell you the truth, everyone who sins is a slave to sin. Now a slave has no permanent place in the family, but a son belongs to it forever. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. I know you are Abraham's descendants, yet you are ready to kill me because you have no room for my word. I am telling you what I have seen in the Father's presence, and you do what you have heard from my father, or from your father. Abraham is our father,' they answered. 'If you were Abraham's children,' said Jesus, 'then you would do the things Abraham did. As it is, you are determined to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. Abraham did not do such things. You are doing things your own father does.' 'We are not illegitimate children,' they protested. 'The only father we have is God himself.' Jesus said to them, 'If God were your father, you would love me, for I came from God and now am here. I have not come on my own, but he sent me. Why is my language not clear to you? Because you are unable to hear what I say? You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desire. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and your father of lies, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Yet because I tell the truth, you do not believe me. Can any of you prove me guilty of sin? I am telling the truth. Why don't you believe me? He who belongs to God hears what God says. The reason you do not hear is that you do not belong to God." Rather impactful interaction here. It starts off with, "If you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." This is, a story as old as time. People echo this, lots of people, tons of people, yet they don't understand what the truth is, the actual truth, the truth that Jesus is the Son of God who dies for our sins so that we are no longer the slave to sin he describes in here. As if you are a slave, you cannot come to the Father. You have to accept Jesus into your life so that you are no longer a slave to this sin, so that you can go to the Father. What else was in there? There was something else I wanted to point out. Oh, I think it's this second part. I think it's really interesting. He says that your father is the devil. We see a lot of people like this in the modern day. They don't listen to what God says. They listen to what the people around them have instilled upon them, meaning not just their parents, but people in their societal circles, their friend groups. They'd much rather we're all guilty of this sin, more or less, is that we listen to people as opposed to what the Word of God says. We stray from his teachings and we sin because we belong to this fallen people that are influenced by the devil, unlike Jesus, the one who went his life without sinning. None of us have gone our lives without sinning. I guarantee it. Somewhere along the way, every single one of us has sinned, and that's why we need Jesus to save us. He says, "Can any of you prove me guilty of sin? I am telling the truth. Why don't you believe me? He who belongs to God hears what God says. The reason you do not hear is that you do not belong to God." You need to listen to what God says, not starting with yourself. That's the base. But then once you start to listen to God, the next step is your society. You can't save your society without saving yourself. It's impossible. So start with yourself, listen to God from there. Ask Jesus for forgiveness for your sins, and then go out and spread this word into your society, your city, your state, your country. And from there, after only you have saved yourself, you have a chance to actually save others, save your country. Because we need this word back in America, the word of Christ. When we had more people, a larger majority, or at least a majority, who were Christians, this place functioned a lot better. We had less societal problems. And when we stray away, when we are deceived by the devil, our society has started to collapse. You've got to listen to the Son of God. You have to accept him. The only way to the Father is through Jesus Christ. And then from there, you need to go out and share these with the people around you. Share these truths, because otherwise there's no way that we're going to fix this place. We've got to start by fixing ourselves. And from there, fixing ourselves, we can hopefully turn around this society that resembles like Sodom and Gomorrah. It's the only way we're going to turn this place around. We've got to listen to God. We've got to become children of God. We've got to listen to his Son. And through him, we can get to the Father. So, that's all we've got for today. Really like that one. I think it's really important for understanding where we are and how to actually be free on this earth is through Jesus Christ. It's the only way that we will be free. Otherwise, we will continue to be slaves to the devil and build this Sodom and Gomorrah society, building our towers of Babel here in America. We've got to change. We've got to go back to the Bible, go back to the teachings of Jesus, go back to what's holy, go back to Christianity. It's the only way we're going to fix this place. We can root out all this fraud. We can indict the evil people. But until we get the evil out of every single one of our own hearts and seek to help others do the same, we're going to see no results whatsoever. That's what we have for today. So once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Drop a like on YouTube, Rumble. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Rumble and Kick. Share the channel. I guess it's another longer episode today, but at least it's not 2 hours like yesterday. So I guess we can all be appreciative of that. And I am definitely myself appreciative of the people who stuck around for the episode today till the end. You guys really helped me with the algorithm, and also the people who share the channel every day, sharing it with friends, family, people from work that you can trust, obviously. Don't share it probably with your Democrat socialist boss, because you'll be looking for new means of employment before you're done with work today. You'll probably get a call at like 8 o'clock tonight. Like, nope, you're done. So be responsible with who you're sharing it to. But, friends and family are probably a pretty good bet. And I appreciate you guys that do that. I truly do. It really helps me out a lot. I try and get it as far and wide as I can, but I'm just one guy. So, yeah. That's what we have for today. Should be back tomorrow, 4:45. I was thinking about taking a day off this week and trying to get episode 100 on a Friday, but I don't think that's the best idea, just due to the nature of Fridays and news. People are just like, I'll wait till Monday, I'll put it off. So I think we're not going to miss one this week. Maybe we'll skip Friday after a big episode 100. I don't know if there's anything special to do, though. I don't know. We'll just see how this week goes. But I should be back tomorrow at 4:45 Eastern time for episode number 99. Maybe episode 100 special should be that I just show up on time. Wouldn't that be like stellar? Wouldn't that be stellar, everybody? No chance, probably. But yeah. To all my people on the East Coast, I hope you get home safe. To my people further west, I hope you finish up your workday strong and get home safe as well. But yeah, that's all we have for today. I'll talk to you guys very, very soon.